afternoon. This is the knitting news from Knit Happens Teesside for the 26th week of 2024. The other night at knitting, I'm afraid there was only me and Helen, so there's not much to tell you about that really, though we did have a really good natter. Helen was working on a jumper for one of her good friends, Teddy Bear, and it's made with drops alpaca, 4-ply, 2 strands together, and she's just kind of made up a cable, and she's not sure how the neck's going to go because it looked a little bit big, but then again, teddy bears have big heads, don't they? She was also planning some of the other knits that she was going to do, and we were looking at a Louisa Harding book, and the thing about the Louisa Harding book was a lot of the yarns were non-standard, as in not double knit, 4-ply or Aran, somewhere in between any of those, and discontinued, and so she's just going to have to do tension squares to see if what she has is going to work. I was working on my collecting breeze. Here we go. As you can see, I have 2 sleeves, and I now have 2 sidey bits. One's not completely sewn in, this one is, so it gathers up, and I have to knit beyond the bottom of the main jumper, which is not, we're not beyond yet, so I don't think I'm going to get it finished for the Politically Incorrect Knitters Sweaty Challenge that ends at midnight tonight Eastern, so that wouldn't be midnight tonight here, but I don't think I want to stay up until the early hours to finish it. So that will just get finished quite soon probably. I seem to be a little bit monogamous with doing a weekly little video. I'm not sure if it's the video that's making me monogamous or just that I'm very busy with other things, and it's easier to just knit on the thing that you've got going than be scooting about in your other projects, isn't it really? It is for me at the moment anyway. So that's that. Last week I went to see Di Gilpin, didn't I? No, that was the week before. No, it was last week. Last week I had a disaster, didn't I? Well, this week I've had another disaster. Yesterday I was working all day, and then I went downstairs and, well, it had been raining in the morning, and I went out in my new coat that I bought from Pit and Weem. I'm going to show you. The programme that's filmed quite often in the northeast. Vera she's filming her last series, and well, I don't know if they'll be looking for somebody else or not. But here you go. One of my doggies will not wee in the garden, so whatever the weather, I have got a hood as well, one has to go out with one's doggies. It's very long and will keep me dry whatever the weather. Now, it wasn't very expensive, and I always think when the weather's really horrible and I have to go out with the dogs, oh, I'd really like a coat that goes all the way down and keeps everything dry. So this is from Little Shop in Pit and Weem, and it's even got a vent on the back, so you can get on your horse apparently, but I don't have one of those, and it's got leg straps to keep it around your legs, maybe when you're hot or maybe when it's very, very, very windy. So I thought I'd show you that. This is a waxed hat, what do you think? you. I've showed you. Yeah, right. When I was in Scotland at Di Gilpin's studio, it was a workshop on Ganseys, as I told you last week, and we had quite a lot of information and a talk, and I forgot my needles because my weekend just went all to pot. So I had to borrow one of theirs. So I cast off and then cast back on when I got back to the tent, because I did take my needles, it's just they were in the tent. So this is what I made. I think I chose the trickiest graph. And I made a little tree. I think, is it the tree of life or something like that? And then when I came home, I did a little bit of this. And actually, Sheila said, if you give it a very light steam, it'll not touching it, it will completely flatten out and be really beautiful. So it could be, you could carry on going, I could carry on going and make some sort of a tie for my neck. But we were also given this free pattern for does it say? Wristband, Gansey wristband. And they just go round your wrists, round your pulse points to keep you warm when the weather's horrible, and leave your, when it's cold and leaves your hands free to do things. That's all I have left from last weekend that I haven't told you about. So this week's disaster, I was telling you about that, wasn't I? We'd been out in the morning to walk the dogs, and it was raining, and I wore my fabulous coat. And I came home dry. And I worked all day, and I went back downstairs, and I thought, well, we've got 2 dogs and a cat, and there was a wet patch. And at first I thought it was a dog, but they didn't look very guilty, and it wasn't just a little ring on the carpet like we often have. I thought it was wet off the coat that had just dripped, and then I thought it was one of the pets, and then I thought it was the cat doing protest wheeze because her tray wasn't clean enough. And then we realised, I moved a few things and I heard some hissing, and we had a leak. We had to move a piano, a cupboard, half of my wool stash, well, maybe a quarter, but most of that was off the ground anyway. Some of it was in a basket on the ground, but it was far enough away from the water source to not get too wet. So downstairs, most of what was on one side of the room is on the other side of the room now, including the piano, a record player, a cupboard, some photo albums that didn't get wet, and so on. So that was this week's disaster. Fee's in France, but she did send a photograph of a cardigan. It's lovely, isn't it? This is just black coffee. I think that I don't remember her knitting that cardigan, so I'm thinking, I did ask, and she said it'd been waiting for quite a while to be sewn up. So that'll be nice when she can wear it. It looks a really useful garment, doesn't it? So Jill wasn't at knitting because she was a little bit poorly, but she did send all these pictures of her most recently finished projects, because they've now all been sewn up and blocked. So didn't she do well? I am wearing a very plain and simple cardigan, knit in some sort of a linen cotton tapey yarn that I think was Jaeger and is definitely discontinued. And I made kind of a t-shirt and this cardigan as well, but it's kind of thick. I don't think you can ever have enough cardigans and jumpers to go with all your garments. Every time I look, I find something that'll go. So while I was moving maybe a quarter of my stash, when I get the time, I'm going to go through my stash. And the reason I bought new things for the Shark Week, which is coming up next weekend, is because I just haven't got time to go through patterns and wool and put something together. Or I think I haven't. Maybe I would have. Now this is something I was talking about recently. Instant Fair Isle pack. Beautiful, isn't it? I don't know whether to make the jumper or the cardigan, but I'll show you what comes in it. It says, contains sufficient Shetland wool for either a pullover or a lumber cardigan to fit sizes 34 to 42 inch bust, instant Fair Isle yoke, hand knitted in 6 colours and buttons. I don't know if the buttons are still there. Full instructions given for both garments. Easy to do. You simply knit the plain body. Now, I must tell you, if it says who it was from all those years ago, made in Scotland, the Cairngorm Instant Fair Isle pack. That's good, isn't it? Here's the pattern. Oh, the buttons are there. Blue buttons. And hadn't realised previously that there's just a little bit of a lovely purple. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's just the picture that puts me off because it's so dated. So it's all on it's got wool through the live stitches. What do you call that? A lifeline.
I don't know how it's supposed to fit somebody. You'll just do more increases, won't you? So to make a cardigan, you would pick up here, wouldn't you? In the middle there. And if you wanted to make a jumper, I think you would have to...
Am I muttering? Sorry. To make a jumper, you would have to probably join the middle of each of those. Maybe it should sit a bit further down, like so. I have no idea if and when I will make this. But I do like it now I've got it out. Again, look at these things, don't you? And you never know whether you're going to make them or not. Well, so last night was... Luckily my son's friend is a plumber, so he came round straight away because he was not doing anything in particular and he was waiting to pick his girlfriend up and she was out and about. So he came and he did fix our pipe work and I have sucked about 4 carpet cleaner tub things out of the carpet so far and it is looking better now. And I was, yeah, so I've done that last night and then this morning. So yesterday was a little bit working all day and then going downstairs and finding a leak. Wasn't really like the best of days. And then I was messaging Neil from Block Magazine and he said I could show you this. I think he thought I'd already seen it and not said anything, and he said you can share your cross stitch, the cross stitch I've done of you. And I was what? You've done some. So he sent me. I was like, there's a first, isn't there, for everything? I really like that he's done one in. So Blocks magazine comes out tonight at midnight, I think. It's issue 15, and there's always interesting articles. There's a pattern review. There might be a yarn review. There's a cross stitch of me if you want to make that, and there's a cross stitch of Anne and DK from Politically Incorrect Knitters. And I really like that one because I had seen that one, but I hadn't seen the one about me. So that was a nice surprise at the end of a horrible day. If anybody wants to do a cross stitch of me, feel free. I can't imagine that anybody would. There have been previous ones. There's been one of the blocked logo. That's quite cool. Yeah. So, my Ugly Cat's shawl, you know, the famous one, the one I keep showing you all the time. But if you're new, I'm going to go and get it so that you can see it and you know what I'm talking about. A little while back, Neil from Blocked magazine came to visit, and we did a photo shoot. I've got my chair on it. And there's a whole big long story about why this is so humongous. But it's great, isn't it? So we did a photo shoot on the beach, and the sun shone and the wind blew, and I ran around like a loony. And he also had the original, which is half the size of this one. Should be on everyone, shouldn't it? I should have this pinned up at the window in the background, I think, maybe. So this is the Ugly Cat's shawl, because somebody once said, all your cats are ugly to Neil online. Some sort of trolley person, you know. And so he was designing this shawl, and that was the inspiration. So there was a little bit of a mistake in the original pattern, which was in blocked 5. And now it's blocked issue 15 coming out shortly. And there is a revised pattern, but if you would wish to do one as big as mine, you can, because now there's a small, medium and large. The funniest thing was, Neil kept saying, "Oh, I like it. I think I should make a bigger one, a pattern for a bigger, write the pattern out for a bigger one." And I said, "Don't you mean a smaller one?" I'm not sure anybody would want to make one bigger than this. Anyway, it's going to come in very useful. So there's a small, medium and a large, and there is also a Tunisian crochet version. I think that's going to be in that magazine too. So fill your boots with the Ugly Cat's shawl. So you'll recognise the cover when you see it, because it's this and it's me. So I am honoured to be on the front cover of a magazine for the first time ever. I think it must be dusty in here. I keep seeing things go past. Or I'm being haunted. I think that's about it for this week. So, more news, maybe next week.